So, what's up, everybody? Good morning. This is your boy D Max. So, let's talk about some things. All right, we have Deion Sanders on deck. Come on down, brother Deion, because we got to give you some flowers today, brother. So, the news is coming in that Deion Sanders has acquired the number two player in the country to come to Jackson State. And what makes this so significant as is that this player has been committed to Florida State, which is Deion's old alma mater, ever since 2020. But Deion went in and does what Deion does best, and he acquired a new player for his team. Now, there's been some backlash. For what reason? I don't know, because it's not like this is common practice in recruiting and things like that. So, the only conclusion that I could draw is that the elitists who have been dominating in this field for a very long time is feeling uncomfortable because the playing field is starting to be leveled. Now, in my caption, I stated that you look at how Lavar Ball has changed the face of basketball. Well, here now you have another strong black man who is changing the face of football in Deion Sanders. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much for the simple fact that it's reinforcing what I already said. Because if you go back a few months ago, before football season even started and we were still in the basketball playoff season, I was talking about this and I was explaining how this evolution in basketball is going to carry over into other sporting areas, and I named football as one. And I said, I can't wait to see what evolution football is going to take. And here now we have Deion Sanders showing us the evolution of football. Because now you have HBCUs that are standing toe to toe with these big universities. This is a great thing. This is what's going to level that playing field. And guess what? Those big universities and those Ivy League schools do not like it one bit. They're very angry right now because they no longer have the upper hand. They no longer have that safety net of being a big school, being a D1 school, of being all of those things that kids see as their ticket to the big leagues. You can make it from a smaller school. I remember Marshall Falk came out of San Diego State. I'd never heard of that school a day in my life until I saw Marshall Falk. But Marshall Falk came out of that school and went on to become one of the premier running backs in football. So, and there's so many more small schools where we've had great players to come out of. So this concept that you can't get great players from small schools is the most narrow-minded thing that I'm glad is getting destroyed as far as concepts go, because we know that status of a school does not dictate or determine the level of athletes you have there. You may have a Randy Moss at your school, but because it doesn't get the exposure of a Florida State or a Florida, then that kid is not going to get an opportunity. And this needs to change now. This is something that should have been addressed from the beginning. The fact that kids who have just as much talent, if not more, are being looked over or falling between the cracks or are being opposed by the league for political reasons and other reasons outside of that sport. And no more time for that. We have no time for that any longer. We have no more time for these gatekeepers who are biased and who are cherry picking certain people to come into the league and certain people not to come into the league. Um, and Deion Sanders is breaking down that wall of elitism that has been plaguing sports for the longest and keeping out players that could very well change the face of the sport. And so now we have a precedence being set because we have a HBCU that's standing on the same level as these big schools. And I appreciate Deion Sanders for that because, like many have said, Deion could have got a job anywhere. Deion could have stayed on TV and made money that way, but he chose to go back to a HBCU, which when he had an opportunity to go, he didn't go himself, and I think he kicked himself for that. He brought his son to Jackson State with him, which is awesome. And now he's starting to see the bigger picture. And a lot of these guys in the league are like Dion. They didn't see the big picture when they were playing because they were in a position of uh, not being able to make that change while they're under contract with these teams because there's certain things in these NFL contracts that will kind of suppress these guys from really doing and saying what they want to do. So now that Dion has freed himself from the slavery of the NFL and he's become I guess you would say, a advocate for the black community and for the historically black colleges and universities, we're starting to see uh, some more attention being paid to the HBCUs now. And I hope this sparks a trend in other big name athletes who are able to go back and to give to a HBCU to up its value or to up its attractability to these kids who are coming out of high school and looking for a good program to go to. You go to a HBCU. I've said before, this is one story that I stated when I was talking about this a few months back, that in Concord, North Carolina, where I grew up, not even 30 seconds away from my grandma's house, there's one house that separates Barber Scotia College from my grandmother's house. And so back when I was growing up, if you were to walk by Barber Scotia College, which was an HBCU, you would see black college students everywhere. And this is something that gave our community life. This is something that gave our community hope because we had educated young black people all over Concord, whether they graduated from school, whether they ended up dropping out and ended up working somewhere in Concord, we were still producing young, educated black men and women who weren't out in the streets doing all of that crazy stuff because they had another choice. They had another option. But guess what happened to this HBCU? This HBCU lost its accreditation, and it lost its accreditation the year after my cousin graduated from there and got her degree. The very next year, this HBCU lost its accreditation. Why did this happen? How did the black community allow this to happen? What happened at Barber Scotia College to cause the funding to dry up to this HBCU? And why did nobody do anything about it? Those are the questions that I had. But now you fast forward to now, Barber Scotia College. There's some philanthropist or mogul out there has decided to put money into rebuilding this HBCU, uh, getting the buildings back up to par, and getting the accreditation for this school back. It should have never been lost. That was one of the biggest blows to hit Concord, North Carolina, other than the textile mills closing. I've spoken about that too, because this was a textiles dominated area. And once those textiles mills closed, a lot of the parents around there who were supporting families, raising families, and building economic growth in the city through working in these textile mills lost that ability. And so by losing that ability, they lost a lot. And that really, really hit the HBCU, that really hit Barber Scotia College big, and they ended up losing their accreditation and everything. So to see Deion Sanders giving back to HBCUs and to see these prominent black men giving back to the HBCUs to lift them up to the level of these other schools so that there can be a level playing field sets him right on that same level with Lavar Ball with me. So now you have Lavar Ball who is changing the face of basketball, black man. And now you have Deion Sanders, who is changing the face of football, black man. I'm loving the rise of the black man in these days and times, and uh, this is not to exalt black people over anybody else, but anytime you see your people doing better and rising up out of poor circumstances and situations, it's always going to make you feel good. It's always going to be an inspiring thing, and it's always going to motivate you to want to be a part and to do better. This is the narrative that we were talking about. This is the change in narrative that motivates us to become better people. And this is what we've been saying the whole time. So we continue to produce these Deion Sanders and these LeVar Balls and all of these different men who are willing to step up and take the hits and go through the fire and the muck and the mud just to get us a level playing field. So we got to support these guys. No matter what, we have to support these guys because you know what's going to come next, the attack. They're going to try to take Deion Sanders down. I want you to know and understand this very well. They are absolutely going to try to take this strong, positive black man down because that's one thing that they will never be cool with. And I did a podcast a while back, and I was talking about this group down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they stated this: we will never allow black people or Africans to rule over Europeans ever again. And when they say ever again, they're referring to when the Moors ruled over Europe for about 400 or 500 years. And some of them who, for whatever reason, remember that. And this is when there was this town of Wilmington was ran by black people. And when I say ran by black people, I mean black mayor, black governor, black this, black everything was geared towards our people. And it was thriving and it was very successful. And the white people didn't like to be governed by black people, and so they destroyed that whole concept. They destroyed the voting polls. They all of the things that these guys are doing now, talking about elections, this was being done in Wilmington, North Carolina, way back in the early 1900s. So I want you to know this is nothing new what Jim Jordan is doing. This is nothing new what Manchin is doing. This all of these scumbags that are in politics right now, they are the descendants of older scumbags who instilled this in their hearts and in their minds. So their DNA is tied to racism. So we can't blame them for what they are. You are what you are. And there's nothing no one can do about it, not even the person that is the topic of the conversation. So like I said, we're giving Deion, I salute you. LeVar Ball, I salute you. Every other man out there with that mindset, like these men, I salute you because this is what's slowly changing the narrative. And, right now, this is sports. Sports, we are changing the narrative. That's just the tip of the iceberg because there are so many more effective ways that we can affect the world and we can change the world. And we're starting to see the shift in elitism. We're seeing the shift now. I said a while back also that we were going to see a shift in the atmosphere that was going to bring about some changes despite how other people would feel about it. And anytime you have change, there's going to be some resistance and there's going to be some pushback because many people are uncomfortable with change. Oh, wow, I hear the rain's coming. But yeah, man, that's all I wanted to say. Dion, we love you, man. We got your back 1000%, no matter what. Anybody come at you, bro, we got you, and we not playing. So this is your boy D Mac, man. If you have a second, go over to Dion page, or I'm sorry, Coach Sanders, because I'm going to give this man the utmost respect that he deserves. So when you have time, please go over to Coach Sanders' page. Show him the love. Give him his roses today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Give him his roses today because he very well deserves them. Um, I want to give a shout out to my son. My son is Jeremiah is doing his thing in basketball. He's down in Concord, North Carolina, plays for the Concord Spiders. So if you're in the Concord area, make sure you go out and you catch a basketball game, a Concord Spiders high school basketball game, and you'll see you'll know who he is. He's the one that looks like Zion Williamson. Um, and he's a rim bully. My daughter Gabby is down at UNC Pembroke, and she down there wreaking havoc. She's a down low bully. She killing them in the low post. Sports is in my family. Sports is in my blood. Um, I can't say that my kids got all their skills from me because that's not true. Because I can't play basketball worth for crap. I was a boxing and football guy, but I just love to see our people actually beginning to experience a level playing field. I appreciate all of the effort that's gone into making this happen. And we're not going to let it stop here. We're going to carry this torch on wherever it needs to go in order for us to progress, in order for us to get rid of this inequality that has been overlooked and has been ignored by the beneficiary for over 400 years. This is your boy D Mac, man. I'm about to be out of here. The rain is sounding good. It's Saturday morning. I'm going to cuddle with my wife. Y'all have a blessed weekend, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.